It's no surprise that Dark Hole is so iconic even to this day. It was one of the original board breaker cards printed all the way back in LOB alongside Regeki, and also it was in all 4 of the original starter decks, Kaiba, Yugi, Joey, and Pegasus, which meant that back in the day, pretty much everyone on my playground at least had a copy of Dark Hole, and not to mention the card was super good competitively for many years, even making its way on and off the Forbidden and Limited list a few times. It's no secret though that over the past few years, Dark Hole and Regeki have been losing popularity. People oftentimes choose cards like Lightning Storm or Evenly Matched or stuff like that to break the opponent's board instead of these older classic cards. However, over the last month at the 2 YCSs that were held, Dark Hole has definitely been gaining a lot of popularity, and I wanted to talk about that in today's video. It even made its way as a 3-of in Joshua Schmidt's 3rd place side deck at YCS Dortmund, so there's definitely a lot to talk about here, and it is a really interesting card because while it's maybe not the most powerful board breaker card in the format, it does have a lot of unique applications that make it greater than the sum of its parts. Today's video is sponsored by longtime channel supporter Ridge Wallets. Some of you might know this already, but I've been using a Ridge wallet for a few years now, and honestly, I can't really imagine going back at this point. If you're looking to upgrade your own wallet or perhaps gift a friend or family member a wallet for the holidays, look no further than Ridge Wallets. There's over 30 different colors and styles to choose from, including fan favorites like Carbon Fiber and Forged Pacific. Each Ridge wallet can hold up to 12 cards, and they have a money clip on the back for carrying cash. Ridge wallets are also made of durable, long-lasting materials, so each one comes with a lifetime warranty. Ridge also has these cool new key cases for carrying your keys that can even match your wallet. If you're interested in picking up a Ridge wallet or any of the other great products from their website, make sure to use my link at ridge.com/Dzeeff because now through December 22nd, you can save up to 40%. Thank you, Ridge, for sponsoring today's video. I think it's important to immediately address why people might play Dark Hole over a card like Regeki or Lightning Storm in the current format. One thing that I found pretty interesting is that Dark Hole's downside, the part where it destroys your own monsters as well as your opponents, is actually one of the biggest reasons that it's seeing play right now over Regeki. A few decks in the format right now can give you a card that you don't really want to have. Sprite oftentimes gives you Ibli during their combo, which prevents you from special summoning monsters besides link summons that are done using it as material, while other decks might give you a Ra's Disciple. There's a branded combo, I believe, that actually gives you that card, and while that card's on your field, you can't special summon at all, a very restrictive effect. So while Regeki and Lightning Storm are good choices in the current format against rogue decks, you might want to consider playing Dark Hole instead if you are worried about cards like Ibli and Ra's Disciple. Ra's Disciple maybe isn't as popular as Ibli. Sprite is definitely more popular than branded right now, but they are both cards that you should consider. Dark Hole is also not bad when you want to clear your own board to summon a card like Kashtira Fenrir perhaps, or maybe even Exosister Martha. Those 2 cards have effects where if you control no monsters, you can special summon them from your hand, so you might want to play Dark Hole in decks that play those. I actually specifically think about Martha because I've played Bystial in the Exosister deck, and it can be pretty nice to clear your own board of Bystials that you used on your opponent's first turn so that you can use the in-hand Martha effect, which is pretty powerful. And while no longer relevant after December 1st, it is worth mentioning that Dark Hole was an out at those 2 YCSs to Mystic Mine, indirectly at least. You could use the Dark Hole to get both players down to 0 monster cards, which would trigger the Mystic Mine in the end phase to blow up. People weren't playing Dark Hole only because it outed Mystic Mine. I mean, that was kind of just a bonus. If you were already going to side Dark Hole against an opponent and they happened to also have a Mystic Mine in their deck, well, then you were probably pretty happy you sided the Dark Hole because now you have an extra out. Now, of course, you're not just gonna play Dark Hole to only out Mystic Mine. You'd be better off playing a card like Unending Nightmare or Cosmic Cyclone, but if you already are siding the Dark Hole for any of the other reasons that it's good and your opponent happens to be playing Mystic Mine, it's a nice bonus to have an out for it without having already sided Cosmic Cyclone. It's worth mentioning also in Joshua's deck specifically that if you are playing Tier, you can just normal summon a Tier monster and Dark Hole it to trigger its graveyard effect. That might not sound like the most likely play to happen, and I would probably agree with you there, but it's nice to at least have the option. Dinosaur players in the past have used Dark Hole to destroy their own baby Ceresaurus, so I don't think it's that much of a stretch to Dark Hole your own tier limit monsters. But Dark Hole isn't only good for destroying your own monsters, of course. You want to also use it to destroy your opponent's monsters. Let's talk about some situations where that might come up in the current format. I will mention that it's not the best against the tier deck specifically. A lot of their cards float, but a lot of other decks in the current format really do struggle against Dark Hole, including Sprite, which I talked about not too long ago. That deck oftentimes is going for that Ibli combo instead of Totally Awesome, so you're not only outing the Ibli lock by using Dark Hole, but you might even be outing their entire board as well. This is especially good because you might not just be getting rid of your opponent's monsters with the Dark Hole, you might also be blanking their Sprite Double Cross or Sprite Smashers, which require them to control a monster card. Dark Hole is also unsurprisingly pretty good against the Fluander Reese deck. They don't really have any archetype ways to negate the Dark Hole, so it's pretty much always going to resolve. Just in general though, Dark Hole is going to be an okay option against almost any monster heavy deck in the format. You know, maybe your opponent's deck does have a negation or two, at least the Dark Hole could bait one of those negations. That's always going to be good. It's not going to be as impactful against combo decks as a card like Dark Ruler No More is, but it's certainly not going to be useless. You can always use it to help break your opponent's board and push through their interruptions. Dark Hole also has a million printings and it is dirt cheap, so if you want to try this card out, it is a very low investment. We're not even talking about dollars here. I think we're talking about just a couple quarters really, which is perfect for budget players, but also just if you're someone that's a little bit skeptical of it, you can just try it out for a couple locals and see how it goes. And I know it's weird to be talking about tech choices that aren't maybe good against tier limits in a format where tier limits are tier 0, but I really think that Dark Hole has a ton of applications outside of that one matchup that make it worth a second look. If you go to a tournament right now, you are not only going to play against tier limits, and Dark Hole is quite good in a variety of other matchups. You don't want to only think about one matchup because that's how you end up going 0-3 at a tournament because you didn't prepare for the rogue decks, even though you maybe had a good matchup against the top strategy. This is even more true if you're going to locals or regionals instead of YCSs, because I'm sure a lot of you listening to this only interact with Yu-Gi-Oh at local tournaments, and Dark Hole is going to shine at those events just as long as every single opponent isn't playing tier. But even in that case, it's not like the Dark Hole was in your main deck, it was in your side deck hopefully, so it's not like you're drawing it against that matchup anyway. Now it is worth mentioning that Dark Hole is pretty underrated at the moment, even after that third place finish, and that is because there are a lot of other board breakers in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. You have things like Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched and Regeki and so many others, so it definitely has some tough competition, but I also feel like it has a ton of potential. Dark Hole probably is never going to soar to the heights of popularity that it had back in 2002. Obviously, it's 20 years later now, Yu-Gi-Oh has changed quite a bit, but I always love when it actually is playable in the current format, and right now I think it's actually a fairly good choice. And looking at the OCG, it seems like a lot of them are playing Regeki right now, or at least they have been over the past couple of months, so that might mean that Regeki and Dark Hole could be good in the next TCG format as well, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. I've been wanting to talk about Dark Hole for a little while now. A couple of my friends were playing it at YCS Pasadena, but unfortunately I got busy with other videos and I was not able to make this discussion a couple weeks ago. However, when I saw that Joshua got that excellent third place finish at the YCS in Germany with Dark Hole in his side deck, I just couldn't resist talking about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's discussion video. I should probably mention that if this video has convinced you to buy Dark Hole, please use my TCG Player link in the description below, but realistically, if you just walk into locals and look through their commons, you'll probably find a playset for like 50 cents. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's discussion video. Man, I have missed making these. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like me to keep making discussion videos. I know it's been like 2 months since my last one, but this was a lot of fun to make, and I hope I can make more in the next few weeks. I'll see you later though. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.